What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at a title that I didn't really think I was going to enjoy going in because in general I don't like the genre, but this is a game that ends up being more than the sum of its parts. This is a game that's got a lot of great inspirations running alongside it, and it's a tower defense game called Castle of Alchemists. We featured it in demo format a long time ago, like a year and a half ago, and now the game is out in 1.0, so I figured it was time, since we've only covered the demo, to actually cover the full game. This is I've been thinking of this game kind of as like the Dark Souls fans' version of a tower defense game, not because the combat itself is inherently anything like Dark Souls, but there's RPG elements in here, there's Dynasty Warriors elements inside of here, there are these frame-perfect moments where you can do a certain thing and it'll blow up like 80 enemies at once, so you definitely get that feeling of being overpowered, because in the context of this game world, the alchemists are under attack by pretty much every nation of the world that's decided it's time for them to be exterminated. So they've created you, this big guy over here, to be their super soldier, and you're like highly genetically modified, you're basically unkillable, but at the same time you're also kind of using traps in order to make your job a little bit easier, because ain't nobody go to work in the morning trying to actually do work. So today we're going to try to dive into the game. We're going to play for about 30 minutes. We're going to see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list or if it's one of those games you would rather not play. I've played for about an hour and a half now, and I think I'm ready to levy my first impressions of the game. The link is down below in case you wanted to go get the game after watching this video, and of course there's also a whole bunch of Nerdcastle links down there where you can support the channel in various ways by just clicking on them. That's pretty much it. So let's dive on in, let's get a piece of the action, and let's wipe out some enemies. So welcome to our castle. One of the things that I think this game does really well is that the art style itself is not something that's going to blow your mind completely, but the game is so full of all these random little details, like when you mouse over UI elements, it gives you sort of a cutaway slice of what's going on inside the little areas that you're going to be interacting with in between missions. You can level up, you can get new weapons, you can get yourself new traps, you can upgrade things, you can genetically modify yourself to sort of, I guess, concretely put together your strategy as to whether or not you're going to be much more of a fighty man's or much more of a trappy man's. For right now, there's not a whole lot of things for me to do inside the castle, so we're just going to jump into a mission, we're going to have a good time with it, and hopefully we end up unlocking a whole bunch of things that make our lives a little bit easier. So we've got a boss fight up right here, I think. Let's not do a boss fight right this second. Let's instead, I'll replay one of the missions that I've already done. This game does have a very high level of replayability. Each level has 2 different difficulty settings that you can choose between. There are challenges for each of those difficulties, and those challenges do award you with crafting materials that make your character stronger and also help you level up and get more stat points so that you can increase your own base attributes in order to fight a little bit more effectively. We'll do the first lecture hall right here just to get you acclimated with how the game works, and then we'll dive on into it. I love the way the gate closes whenever you decide on a mission to deploy to. Like I said, tons of really nice little visual details inside of this game that make it kind of just like drip off the screen. So if you've played a tower defense game before, you're not going to see anything highly confusing here. This is our blueprinting screen where we've got to decide where our traps are going to go, where we're going to deploy them, and how we want to hold off the enemy. It's showing us the enemy's paths. You can only bring in 8 traps with you to any given mission, which means that it's a pretty good idea a lot of the time for you to have some kind of strategy for how you want to deal with enemies. So if we see their paths, they all converge right here. I'm going to put down an oil trap. Then I'm going to put down a fire trap, probably like right there, so that it puts down an oil field, lights it on fire, and all these guys are going to get lit on fire, and they're going to get a cascading dot that's going to slowly kill them as they try to make it to our gate. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this elevated position. Anytime you see a statue in the level, it means you can deploy a super weapon. I'm going to put in a ballista tower, and this little guy is going to be in here with his automatic ballista tower, just firing at anything that comes around the corner. Other things that I think would be smart is I've got a buzz disc thrower right here. It'll throw these buzz discs and they travel until they hit a wall. We've got a really nice straightaway right here that I think that's going to help us out with. We've also got a really solid straightaway right here as well, but they kind of zigzag around. So I don't know if it's going to hit that trap in the front, so maybe I won't do that. Instead, what I'll think about doing is we can do impalement traps over here. These impaler traps, you should think about them as corpse explosion traps from Diablo. So basically, when somebody gets impaled on this trap, no harm, no foul. It just killed that one guy. However, each time this impales a new guy, the original body that's impaled on the stake gets like overcharged Gambit style from the X-Men, and eventually that corpse will explode, blowing up a large area and basically killing everything with nuclear booty dust. And so I think we've got all of our resources deployed right now. There's really not too many more things for me to put out here in the field, so let's rock on into it. Deploy! So here's our super soldier. Our super soldier also has a whole bunch of abilities. You can see them on our hotbar at the bottom. I've got 2 different weapons. I've got a death hammer that I can crush people with. I do have stamina that I'm gonna need to be paying attention to as I go further on into the game. I can also charge it up and I can do a super slam. I've got like a mega cannon on my shoulder. I've also got this shotgun right here that I can just sort of like sit here and shoot at enemies. One thing I think the game could potentially do better is just sort of like show the player what surfaces you can shoot over and which you can't. I've had trouble sussing that out on some of the level layouts. Not a huge annoyance, you'll figure it out eventually, but you know, sometimes it's hard to figure out what stops bullets and what doesn't. For right now, all these guys are catching bleeds. It doesn't really look like they're gonna make it past this point. I think this one has an achievement too for my towers to kill a certain numbers of guys, so it may be wise for me to drag this back over to here and maybe set up the assembly on this side so that this dude can get some shots off. I have been very impressed by this game's enemy variety, actually. I've gone up against 3 different factions so far, and every faction has like 6 or 7 different guys within the first 5 or 6 levels that you'll play. That all do different things, and in fact, sometimes it's not entirely obvious what they do on the battlefield until you get a second to take a look inside the game's bestiary in order to figure that out. You know, there's like little guys that don't seem to attack, they don't seem to do anything except for try to like truck their way into your base. As it turns out, they give a little buff to everything around them, but like there's no spell graphic or anything to it, so I actually had to look that one up to figure out what they do. Fairly easy wave. I think if we wanted to optimize for getting one of our challenges done, I should probably move that oil trap assembly back. I found the oil traps to be incredibly effective deployed early on in order to make sure that the enemy just doesn't flood in with sheer numbers and overwhelm you. That dot makes most of them die by the time they get halfway across the level, and so definitely worth using. Let's put in a couple of buzzsaw traps over here because that pretty nicely, I think, canvases that area. I have my doubts they're going to make it back that far, so I'm not too worried about those traps right there. They're just there as a contingency plan. I do think we could probably get away with another oil and fire combo over here. Although, I think we're going to have to scooch these ever so slightly. So we're going to have to scooch it like over to there. There we go. Your traps also have an elemental affinity. So for example, anything that's made out of metal like buzzsaw traps, you can get a Tesla coil, and if it fires and it hits an enemy that's on top of this trap right here, it will electrify the trap as well. And so there's some interesting interactions that the developers are playing around with, on top of making sure, like, one of the biggest problems with tower defense games is it's kind of set it and forget it. I don't really like that kind of gameplay. I like being a lot more active, and so I do love the way that the character in this game is actually a factor. There's a lot of hero-based tower defense games out there, but I always feel like in a lot of them, the hero is sort of secondary to the traps. Like, it doesn't feel like the hero can actually kill things off at the same rate that his traps do. In this game, you don't really have to worry about that. Your hero, even by himself, is capable of killing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of enemies, even when your traps fail. And so really, the goal is to use the traps to slow enemies down and thin their numbers out so that you can finish them off like an alpha beast animal and just eliminate everybody. I do have consumables I can use as well. Those are on cooldowns. You will be unlocking and upgrading those and kind of gambling on whether or not they get stronger. I've got a flash grenade that stuns everybody and makes them not walk for 5 seconds for big packs that may have snuck past my trap lines. I've also got an explosive grenade that just flatly is built to kill people. On top of that, I've also got a syringe that allows me to heal myself. I've got a mega cannon that you can see right there that basically wipes out an entire lane. It's sort of your oh shit button. I only use that when things are really, really falling apart, and I'm not 100% positive that I'm going to be able to clear all the enemy mobs before they get to my gate. But a very, very visual, very action-packed, very momentum-focused game that seeks to solve, really, in my opinion, what is the main problem with tower defense games, and it's just that they're boring. You set up your traps and then you sit there and you watch the game play itself. If you get lucky, some games will give you a couple of abilities that you can hotkey and like fire at the battlefield along the way, but it doesn't change the fact that you're mostly just sitting there watching your handiwork unfold. I suppose that might be satisfying for other people, but it's never really been satisfying for me. I have like that TikTok brain going on, so I need to be able to like mulch my enemies and annihilate them as they enter the base alongside my turrets, and I think this game does strike that balance really, really well. Next wave's all done and taken care of. Man, these fire traps are absolutely eating these cats, making them feel terrible, just eating them alive. That's what I love to see. We'll do a boss fight after this one. I haven't actually done the boss fight, so that should be an interesting adaptive learning process. Different factions in this game do have different strategies. Some of them are very, very fast, but they've got super low HP, meaning that fire traps are really effective against them. Some of them are tanky and have like armor, which means you just really gotta pound on them, and those are the more active fights where you're going to be running around, putting out fires and solving issues. This trap right here is a machine gun that's on the roof. It fires little metal flechettes all over the place that like slowly wear down enemies basically while they're running through the AoE area, which I think is pretty awesome. Let's go back over here to the right and let's finish this thing off. Lots of doggies in this pack. Lots of doggies on fire, though. Last time I played through this mission, that little rush right there almost wiped me. That's how you can tell that my strategies have adapted, and I've kind of like really learned to lean into all the elemental interactions of the traps, because if you do that, you should be playing on hard mode pretty soon. Like the normal waves, if you're using the bonuses and you're like building your character properly and you're setting up your traps so that they interact with each other, you shouldn't have too many problems in that regard clearing each level. And so that's when you're going to want to step up that difficulty and see if you can get yourself some more resources. Lots and lots and lots of doggies. Let's just nuke them with the super cannon because I'd rather not give them an opportunity to come in here. Weirdly enough, I cannot throw grenades over that banister right there, but I can shoot over the top of it. There's a grenade out right there so you can see what that looks like. I found most of the destructive effects. It's interesting because they don't have like terrain deformation or anything as you're killing enemies with grenades and bombs. You get blood splash decals and stuff like that, but they smartly actually littered the map with all kinds of destructibles like barrels and candelabras and stuff like that that will blow up when you throw out those abilities, and they throw kind of, I guess, shrapnel and chunks of themselves all over the place to make the battlefield feel a little bit more alive. Good stuff, right? Like, I could tell whoever visually designed this game really, really thought about it and was kind of like looking at the game's strengths and weaknesses as they went along and actively seeking out to like solve those problems so that it's got a very, very satisfying visual demeanor, I guess, is the way that I would summarize that. Almost done mulching here. I don't know how many enemies we have left that we've got to deal with, but we've killed somewhere around 150 just in our current combo, so there it is. I think, oh no, they've got more waves. All right. Well, let's get in here with the hammer and let's do some work, dude. I've been hanging out in the backfield for too long. If you're wondering what that green flash was, I have a special ability called an adrenal gland. The adrenal gland will allow me, can I shoot that? Shoot that right there. There we go. The adrenal gland makes it so that if I kill a certain amount of enemies in under 3 seconds, I regenerate 10% of my health on a cooldown. And so that's what that flash was. We managed to hit that proc. I need to watch my stamina down at the bottom, though, because I can only swing so much while stamina holds. Perfect. There we go. Just wipe them out. Let's get into glorious melee. And then a little bit more shotgun action. Perfect. There are enemies that throw stuff. There are enemies that shoot things. I haven't seen any enemies yet. It'd actually be interesting to think about for a game like this. What if while you're playing a tower defense, the enemy is also fortifying the lane that they're invading from, and they're putting in traps to keep you from pushing in further? So it's almost like a tower defense versus a tower defense. That would actually work with this combination of mechanics, too, if any of the enemies actually ended up being, like, talented engineers. So after we finish our mission, we can go back to the armamentarium. Inside the armamentarium, we can craft new weapons. You've got chances that they will be of a higher tier. Every tier, from what I've seen so far, seems to give it 20% more damage, 20% more crit, so on and so forth. I did want to build a repeater crossbow, though. Did I ever do that? I did, actually. I built a tier 3 repeater crossbow. Well, let's try that out the next time we go into the game. I am perfectly balanced out on my weight right now, so I can't really bring anything else with me. even if I desire to do so, because your loadout is limited by your strength stat, which you're going to be able to upgrade inside the mutation room. Inside the mutation room, you can do everything from boost your crit and your damage, give yourself more HP. You can also specialize your character with advanced trainings from the Alchemist that will make you lean in a direction that other characters might not. So you might focus on clockwork traps, you might focus on booby traps, you might focus on just fighting hand to hand. It's up to you what you want to specialize in, and this is, once again, I don't think you're going to get enough XP to, like, unlock all these things, because I think there's, like, 5 tiers of each one, and each one ends with sort of, like, a super version of all the previous tiers. But if you just play through the game on normal difficulty, I don't know if you're actually going to be able to cap out all of these things, which means that you got to go back into missions you've already played, play them on higher difficulty, try different trap loadouts so that you can get the different challenges done. And so cool stuff over here. Lots of interesting, repeatable gameplay that they've got in front of the player. I've also got the workshop. Inside the workshop right now, I can't really do too much. I've got my trap loadouts, and I've got my tower loadouts that I can play around with. But let's see about this boss. I'm actually kind of curious what a boss is going to look like inside the confines of the game. So let's just deploy it up. So with deployment in front of us, I think we're actually just going to have to fight this guy. It doesn't actually look like... Let's go with a ballista over here. Let's go with a ballista over here. And really, I think my strategy is going to revolve around dragging the enemy over here while dodging his attacks and getting him to step inside a fire puddle so that we get the dot. There we go. I think that'll work. And then while I've got him in this neighborhood, I would actually set up just sort of like a death grid over here. I want that to go away. Like so. Something that's like a little bit thoughtful. And then we'll put a disco ball right here. And I think that's about all we've got. So let's hit the next wave and let's kind of see what a boss looks like in this game. Okay. Giant elemental gnarly man. I'm guessing he's got a shield or something that I can't get through. Oh no, we're hurting him. Hey, there we go. Get him in the fire. Perfect. That's perfectly the position that I want. Oh my god. Okay. There's a lot of things flying around on screen right now. He's chasing me with all kinds of elemental attacks. Let's go over here, get a little bit more off on him. I'm going to stay away from the lightning for right now. If we can keep him inside the range of ballistas, I think that would be optimal. Let's dash back this way. He's not really going for my trap grids over here, so I got to figure out a way to bait him. Dodge the lightning. Here comes the ice. And the ice actually follows us. It's got like a heat-seeking thing going on. And we want him to dash in this direction. Ah, he missed it. Okay, well, never mind. Oh, he's got like 5 health bars. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a slog then. I think my trap layouts could have potentially been better. Let me hit a syringe real fast. I can get him with grenades and things, which might help out a little bit. See if I... There we go. Follow me over here, dude. Get some fire on you. I need you burning. And if you can stay inside my saw traps, that would also be fantastic. I'm going to dash back this way. Lightning's going to come out this way. Almost back into my trap. You going to follow me over here? Eat a grenade. There you go. Have a grenade from me. I think I could also... Oh, I need him to be over here. Oh, I did it too late. Get him with the big blaster. Looks like my range can still hit him from here. Perfect. Second health pip down. And a little bit of that. And then if I can get him to walk across the fire trap, that would be just perfecto. I don't know if he's weak to fire. It doesn't look like it's ticking down on him the way that I want it to be ticking down on him. Dude, I'm getting 8 right now. I think we're actually kind of like neck and neck with each other. Oh, maybe not. Give me one of those. Give me one of those. Stay out of the way of that. I need you to, like, come down this way and, like, actually pick up the dot. There you go. Tick, 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 tick. I don't have any heals left, so this is going to get uglier before it gets better, but we'll just try to play it safe for a minute. Although with him jiggling all over the place, that might be a bit of a challenge. Did he catch that fire right there? Tell me he caught that fire right there. Get him with the big gun. Oh, my big gun's not up yet. Get him. Okay. Maybe get him with a grenade right there. Put down one of those in case he comes in the area. I've got like a miniature version. You know, like the trap I showed you earlier that throws flechettes all over the place like a disco ball? I've got like a personalized copy of that. He's still got like another health bar to go, dude. Let's not get trapped by the ice. He's on fire now, which is good. Almost got me right there. Get him with a few more grenades. Unfortunately, my stun doesn't work on the boss. I definitely don't want to be near this guy to do melee, though. I'm not feeling that idea in the slightest. Get out of the way right there. Took a little bit of damage, but he's on his last bar. I'm on my last bar. Let's dance, fancy man. Got him on fire. The trap triggered fast enough. Anytime you're dealing damage and you're not having to, like, sweat to get it, I'm pretty happy with it. Oh, he got me with his little bushman. Oh, dude, I dodged the wrong way. Come on. We're not going to drop this. We're not going to drop this. Come on. I gotta, like, put my tongue in my cheek, dude. Lots of crits right there, which is good. Ballista's eating him up, which is also good. I can still die, though. I can still definitely die if I'm not careful here. Get him with the blaster cannon. And down he goes. Sloppy, but we made it through. Little bit sloppy, but we managed to make it happen. I do like the fact that they're incorporating, like I said, soulsy bosses into these things on the in-between, too. And honestly, they're marrying the idea of tower defense into a boss fight decently as well. Like, where you put your traps during a boss fight like that kind of reminds me of playing a hunter in World of Warcraft or playing like a trap-based character in D&D, where it's all about like setup time, and then from there you kind of play around that stuff to get yourself some additive DPS and damage. I dig it. We have unlocked a new part of the castle. Fantastic. Good stuff. I want to explore more parts of the castle. We do have a level up to play around with, but I don't know exactly what I want to do with my extra stuff. I have been doing, let's do, I guess, a little bit of range training. I have noticed that I play ranged much more frequently than I play melee. I'll play melee when I have to, but ranged is where I keep it at, because who doesn't love big guns and, like, rotary crossbows and things? It looks like we got an ice version of our flamethrower trap, which is kind of cool. We've also got an electrical ceiling trap, which I kind of dig. Yeah, swap that one out for the actual disco ball. This is a much better disco ball right here. I feel like I can Dougie much fresher to what this has got going on. From there, I think I'm okay with my trap layout. I think I'm solid with it. I'm not really obsessing too much about what I want to bring with me. I don't really care about bringing the barricades because I never seem to use them. Let's go back to the war room and we will queue up another mission. And it looks like the North Warehouse is the first thing that we've got up and coming. Oh, cool. We get a walking spider bomb pet that can follow us around after this. And then we get a sprinkler trap that makes the enemy wet. Then we can put down the cryo trap and freeze them. Sick, dude. And then it also looks like we're getting a new consumable that allows us to go into like a berserker rage for 15 seconds. I can live with that. Let's deploy to the level. Let's see what this thing's got going for us right now. I'm probably not going to hit any of the challenges, but, you know, we've got time to clear it. Okay, so we've got a spawn coming out right there, and we've got a spawn coming out right there. They coalesce on that spot, which means that this is kind of like our kill zone over on this side. It looks like we're being attacked by two different factions at once. These guys are weak to fire. These guys are weak to frost. I don't know what my play is just yet. Do we have placement for... Okay, we do have placement for a tower, should we desire to do that. But I don't know if we need the tower. Let's just kind of space this out a little bit. Let's make this hall kind of deadly. And then I think an electrical trap over the top of these might not be a bad idea. They come together right here. So we'll run our flame trap gimmick right there. which should thin out, I think, the ice guys a little bit. So you put that right there. Do I have enough left over to put in a ballista right here? Let's put in the ballista right there. And now that I have the ballista in, I think we've also got a pretty good spot for a saw trap right there. I don't know. Never played this level before, so we'll kind of see how this trap grit goes, and I'll try to, like... Oh, I forgot to swap out my gun, dude. I'm still using the repeater. Yeah. Alright, let me get a fresh reload here. Where are these guys coming from? They're coming from this gate. Yeah, the shotgun definitely puts them to sleep faster. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, but I am feeling the crit rate right here that we got from adding on in that extra range mastery. Like, I'm definitely feeling it. We got more of them coming in down this way. Clear the corridor for me. Blast everything you possibly can. Throw grenades down there. Keep them nice and stunned. I think I got hit by a fire grenade or something. Yeah, those guys throw fireballs. They kind of like bounce along the ground, and so I got caught by them all the time because from the way they look like grenades. So they look like they're going to blow up, and muscle memory takes over, and you catch yourself kind of dodging out of the way. But then they just bounce all over the place, which can make things a little bit of a headache. Let's get into melee for a second. I'm going to dodge back, charge mode, kill all them. Charge mode, kill all them. Charge mode, got them. Throw another grenade out there. See if maybe I can get a little bit of havoc wreaked. Out of stamina, so let's go back to our gun. Ooh, there's a big dog right there. Big old cat ready to rock. I don't think these guys really get hurt by fire, so I don't know if the flame trap right here is really going to buy me much time. We're kind of sort of holding. I don't know if we'll hold for another round. I'm going to have to put in a lot more traps if we want to hold for another round. But enemies also, some of them prioritize the main character and some of them prioritize the gate, which I think is a nice touch. It kind of keeps you hopping in between different objectives, like keeping yourself alive and keeping the castle alive. We do get more resources now, so I should be able to drop in a few more mayhem traps out here just to make myself a bit more of a headache for the enemy. I think I'm going to run an oil field right here to light some of them on fire. There we go. That should do it. And for these guys over here, actually, they tend to, like, not have the greatest HP. So I may just brute force this with spike traps every now and again. There we go. And then we put in, like, some of these guys right here, the impalers, get another one right there. I mean, it's a little bit brute forced, all right? It's not something that looks elegant, but I do think that that left side needed to be thinned out more than this north side did. How much damage can I deal before they catch me with a whole bunch of pain and suffering? Grenade. Drop my booby trap right there, just in the off chance that they end up making it through. Throw another stun grenade out there. The grenades have like reasonably solid cooldowns. It's only like 10 or 11 seconds. So you can kind of like spam them on cooldown whenever you've got them. Throw a grenade at him. Okay, how we looking? Spike traps, you do your thing over here? Doesn't matter because they're going to run into the fire and that should clean up them. Yeah. So those guys are like free kills right now. I wouldn't even worry about them. They're dying before they get to the first trap row. However, the fire will go out in a minute and more of them will get through. So we'll keep an eye on it. Just keep spraying them down real quick. Good stuff. We got them electrified too. Honestly, I bet the water trap with the electrical traps has a combo as well, and I didn't really think about that. I bet lightning jumps in between each enemy that has the wet status effect on them. I didn't even think about that before I came in here. Given that they gave me the water trap on the last level, I'm guessing that they wanted me to play around with water traps, and instead I'm just brute forcing my way through with bullshit strategies right now. But we're not falling back nearly as hard as we did on the last round. So I think we should be okay. Just blast them out of the way, bro. I don't even feel like looking at you guys right now. Those little banner carriers, they make it so guys have armor, and you've got to kill off all their armor before you can actually damage their HP bar, which definitely like doubles or triples the amount of punishment they can take, which during intense waves can kind of be a problem. Which What you want, big dog? Get out of here. We got a bunch of melees down here. Oh, okay. AoE mob. Gotcha. Don't let him through, please. I would rather that not be a thing. Stun bomb them up. Wow, they're coming, dude. They're in here. Syringe myself real quick for HP. And then we need to take back ground. It looks like the fire trap actually handled all of these guys. So this is the case where on this mission, we've got one of the things we need to completely nullify an entire faction, but the other side is kind of running roughshod over our strategy. But this is Castle of Alchemists. I think the game is good. It made me like a genre that I don't really particularly like by folding in sort of intelligent, astute things like elemental interactions in between the towers, combat that's very positional where you do get punished. You got to know where your dodges are at. You got to know where you're trying to go in the level. You got to know where your hold points are. A little bit of a thinker, this game. I've had to restart a couple of levels. I don't really have too many complaints other than I think in general, like the sound effects for the guns and whatnot could be a little bit punchier. But, I mean, it's not really that serious of an issue either. Everything sounds kind of fine. It's got a good soundtrack. It's got good production values. I think this is a really good example of a game that a small team could put together that is going to attract sales because it's a scale that's achievable, while at the same time it leaves you a lot of wiggle room in order to make sure that the game feels good, looks good, sounds good, and plays good. Good marks, thumbs up. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so that you don't have to. Today on the chopping block, we were messing around with Castle of Alchemists. Tomorrow it'll be something else. Thanks, folks, and that's all I got for you.